Welcome to MathLink Academy, where we connect the dots. I am Mr. C, and in this unit, we're going to be covering percent. Percent from a decimal, decimal to percent, fraction to percent, and then percent and written as a fraction. So let's get started. Percent indicates a number of the hundredth in a whole. So we're looking at a hundredth in a whole. A decimal fraction can be expressed as a percent by moving the decimal 2 places to the right and then inserting the percent sign. For example, let's look at this. This is 0.0152, or we could say 152 10,000ths. And we want to convert that as a percent. So what we're going to do, since it's a decimal, we're going to move the decimal 2 places to the right. By moving it 2 places to the right, it will give us 1.52. But we're not done, because since we converted that decimal to a percent, we must put that percent sign to get the correct answer. So in this case, we'll say it's 1.52%, and that will be our answer that's on the screen. So let's talk about fractions to percent. So converting fractions to a percent. Now remember, the percent must have the percent sign to be a percent. So to express a common fraction as a percent, first, express the fraction as a decimal by dividing the numerator by the denominator. And then we convert the answer to percent by moving the decimal 2 places to the right. So one of the things I want to tell you is that the key number is writing your answers as a decimal. Your decimal is your middle link to go from percentage to fractions and back and forth. So if you can write things as a decimal, keep that in the back of your mind, then you can always go back and writing a fraction or write it as a percent. So now let's look at converting a fraction to a percent. So here's our fraction, 7/8, 7/8, and we want to convert that as a percent. Again, the middleman, I'll call it the middleman, the link is converting all numbers to a decimal and then moving the decimal 2 places to the right. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to divide. 8 goes into 7, and we're going to put down 0.000, as many zeros we need. And we found out that it can be written as 0.875 or 875 thousandths. So now we're going to move the decimal 2 places to the right, and we're going to say that's 87.5, in this case, percent. Again, we must write the percent sign to indicate that it is a percent. If we don't write the percent sign, we're not saying it's percent. And so all we did was move the decimal 2 places to the right once you convert it as a decimal. Now, percent to a fraction. Now what we're going to do, I'm going to give you a percent and you're going to convert it as a fraction. Again, don't forget the middleman, I'm going to call it the middleman. The link is always put the number as a decimal, then you can go forth and convert it to where you need to convert it. Now to convert a percent to a fraction, to express that, you must drop the percent symbol. And how you do that, you move your decimal 2 places to the left. So in this case, the key is we're going to move it 2 places to the left to convert a percent to a decimal. So let's look at an example that we can show on our whiteboard. So here are 2 examples. Again, we're starting with percent and we're going to convert it to a fraction. So let's do the top one, 17%. Let's convert that to a fraction. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to convert that percent to a decimal. And so for this to happen, we're going to move this 2 places, get rid of the percent sign, and it's 17. That'll be our decimal, and we move it 2 places to the left. So in this case, this is equal to 0.17 as a decimal. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to say that name or that number correctly and then write that as a fraction. That is 17 hundredth. So in that case, I'm going to write what I just said. 17 over 100. And then I'm going to see if I can reduce that. In this case, that is reduced, and that is my fraction. Always make sure once you put in fraction that it's in simplest form or you reduced it. Now let's look at the other example, 2.1%. Now we see where the decimal is. Now we're going to make that as 21, and we're just going to move that decimal 2 places, 1, 2, means we have a 0 there eventually, to the left. So this is equal to, and I'm going to actually get rid of, this is equal to 0.021. That's the decimal value of that percent. Now, what we're going to do, we're going to convert that to a fraction. How do we do it? Say what it is. We have the tens, the hundreds, the thousands place. So this is 21 thousandths. So we're going to write down 21 over 1,000. Now we're going to see if we can reduce that. In this case, I think we're okay. We cannot reduce this. So then that'll be our answer for those particular problems. Now let's look at a little more complex problem. Again, we're going to start with percent and convert it to a fraction. This is our example. We're looking at 38, 16, and 21%. Now we want to convert that percent, because that's it's not necessarily a fraction per se, it's a percent because we got the percent sign, and we want to convert it to a decimal, and then we want to convert that to a fraction. Our final goal is convert that to a fraction without the percent sign. So let's do that on our whiteboard to show you how it's done. So here's our problem on our whiteboard. It's 38, 16 over 21%. And what I want to do is convert it as a fraction. That's my final destination. Now, since it has percent sign, we know this is a percentage. So the key is to make this number a decimal. So what I'm going to focus on is the fraction piece of this percent, and I'm going to find what that is as a decimal. So what I'm going to do basically is divide this number into this number. I'm going to do that in red. And then you may have to add zeros what we have here. Now, we're going to do a long division, and if we do it properly, we're going to find out that this number, 16 over 21, is equal to 0.76. So we're not going to actually do the division, but I'm going to show you how to convert that percent to a fraction, because we've done division in the past. So we look at this number, and what we're going to do, we're actually going to set this equal. This is equal to 38.76. And that's 0.76%. I haven't changed the percent. All I did was took the fraction part of percent, made it a decimal. And there we have. Those are equal to each other. So I'm going to erase the work that I've shown and work with what we have. Now, our rule says this. Our rule says now we're going to get rid of the percent sign by moving the decimal 2 places to the left. So let's do that. So this is equal to 0.3876. And that's the decimal. Now, again, my question is to find it as a fraction. That's what I want to find it. So I'm going to show you this. This is the tenths, the hundredths, the thousands, 10,000. And so this will equal to 3876 over 10,000. And I'll just put a comma there so you can see that's over 10,000. And that at this time will be our answer as a fraction. Now let's simplify this number and see what this fraction be simplified. So I know 2 can go in both the numerator and the denominator. And so I'm going to use a higher number as much as I can. I'm going to try 4. So as we divide it, numerator and the denominator by 4, what we do on the top, we got to do on the bottom to keep the fraction equal. We'll end up with 969, if I'm not mistaken, over 2,500. So for right now, I'm going to leave it right there, but I'm going to show you that you have to reduce your fraction once you get it. Now let's look at one more problem. Again, we want to convert a percent to a fraction. The key thing is getting that middle person, or that middleman, I call it. The link is converting to a decimal, and from the decimal, you can go either direction. So we have 37.5%, and we want to convert that as a fraction. So let's do this actually on this particular sheet right here and show you how it's done. So what I would do, I will first convert this decimal, or excuse me, this percent to a decimal, which we end in this case as 0.375. And then we get rid of the percent. We move the decimal 2 places to the left, and that is our answer as a decimal. Again, my goal in this case is to find it as a fraction. So now what we're going to do, that's 375 thousandths. So I'm going to write that down, and that's my answer. Now there's a little key I'm going to throw out to you. As many digits are after the decimals, that's how many zeros you put down in the bottom of your denomination. So that's what we have there. Now, what we want to do is find how we can simplify this and figure out what number goes both into the numerator and the denominator, evenly. And then if I'm not mistaken, I think this actually is reduced to 3/8. You can double check me, but the main thing is knowing how to write it as a fraction, and then we simplify our answer in this case. I hope this lesson helped you out with how to work with percent and how to convert back and forth with percent. If you have any questions, feel free to review this lesson again or look at some of the supplementary material we have on our MathLink website. Again, I want to say thank you for watching this video from MathLink.